been really strong. I think, like a lot of people have been saying, the new items and such have been really drawing, more attention to a lot of mages. And, maybe kind of, which ones are stronger now, or maybe just bringing back a lot of mages overall. We are seeing a lot of them. Brand has been pretty strong all around, but of course now he's a high pick. Zyro we're seeing much more often. Teemo we are seeing much more often, other aside from the original few summoners that were really well known for Teemo. So, and Evelynn of course making a return despite the nerfs. So it's very interesting to see how those changes will make a huge change or shift in favored picks. The bans have finished. Jax, Poppy, Malphite, Jace, Amumu, Wukong being the total bans here, with Kha'Zix being the first pick. Kha'Zix was not banned, so we're going to finally see him. I don't think we saw him at all on stream last week or this today so far, so it will be kind of refreshing to see Kha'Zix in game. We are going to see Brand and Urgot being picked up for point defense, though once again going with the trusty champions that they used in the first game. In terms of bans, we've talked about pretty much everything except for Poppy. We haven't seen Poppy banned out too much recently. I don't think we saw Poppy banned out at all today so far, but Poppy is a very strong champion. Similarly to Vayne, can get that stun against anyone with the walls all over the Crystal Scar. Of course, also with a diplomatic immunity, you can really just dive through the enemy, dive through the towers, and take out the high priority targets, and you never really want to lose out someone that easily on Dominion in a team fight, so getting rid of her is always a good idea. Also is fairly mobile with the Paragon of Demacia skill and the passive, and even the active if you want to use it for the movement speed, can kind of zip around surprisingly well. So we'll see how that works out. We are looking at Maokai and Ezreal being highlighted for PECS, going to go ahead and lock them down. Blueberry's really been favoring Ezreal all throughout. And Maokai, of course we've seen Maokai a couple times tonight. Quite a strong champion. So now we do see Nunu being highlighted by point defense. We'll see if we can see a Nunu tonight in one of these games. Nunu has had his fair share of appearances in Dominate Dominion. Notably so by Infeed, bringing him back onto the bottom lane when he got buffed a little bit, especially in terms of his passive. We're seeing a switch up, so we'll see who the final lock-in is for point defense. Taric might be it. Taric and Zyra, we could be seeing that come through. I mean, Zyra, we saw that last game and the games before. Zyra and Brand both doing really well, especially with the Blackfire Torch. It's been amazing on Zyra. So a lot of people favoring Zyra as a mage nowadays. And Taric being locked in, we saw the power of a Taric with some damage items, especially AP. Very scary burst, still relatively tanky. On PECS' side, we do see Swain being highlighted. Haven't seen Swain in a little while. Would be exciting to see him. Swain also a very good mage, fairly tanky, sustainable, and has really good damage. I haven't seen or played Swain with the Blackfire Torch, but I mean, it sounds like Blackfire Torch is pretty much a core item on almost every mage now on the Crystal Scar, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that. And we are going to see Olaf being locked in, and if Olaf gets locked in, I'm a little wary of full-on teamfights by PECS, but at the same time, point defense, they're not that tanky just yet. We'll see who they pick up last. Also, I'm wondering who Swain is going to go to, and then who is going to play Ezreal and PECS, because if I remember correctly, it is Blueberry who is well known for his Swain play. So we'll see if they switch that up. And now we are waiting for Necrogen for the last pick of Game 2 in tonight's finals. And we'll see who he rounds it out with. I think they could use someone a little bit tankier, but at the same time, they're heavily onto magic damage right now. Do they want to split that up? Maybe they can get an 80 bruiser, a little bit on the tankier side though, or they might just go for a straight initiator tank figure. There's not that many left though. I mean, we do see that Malphite has been banned out. Amumu's been banned out. So who are we going to see next gen pick up? Jarvan. Jarvan is not someone we've seen lately, at least not me personally, on the casted matches. J4 has definitely been a really good pick for a long time now, and he never really fell out of favor. It's really just other champions kind of came into favor, and it's not that Jarvan really started lacking, in terms of skill set or whatnot. But Jarvan is a very strong champion. Of course, there's always that aspect of you really have to be careful on using your Cataclysm well. Given how narrow these spaces are, you use it in the wrong moment in the wrong place, and you could completely screw over your own team in terms of positioning, maybe even locking your team in against the enemy's AoE, which they do have a decent amount of. So you want to watch out for that. But as long as you can avoid those mishaps, Jarvan is a great initiator, has good control, has that knockup combo, has the armor shred on his Q, and also Dimension Standard is able to scout out a little bit. He's fairly tanky himself, and of course Cataclysm, if used well, is a brilliant ultimate in teamfights. So we are now going into the 3-minute delay. Summoner Spells, nothing to talk about right there. It's going to be an interesting match. I would say none these team comps are not the most standard, but we have escaped from the double AD from both teams. So going back to a little bit more standard of having just one, I guess, 180 carry, so to speak. Point defense deviating a little bit from this because Urgot, once again, is not the same type of AD carry as, say, Kog'Maw, Ezreal, or Vayne. Much more a bully, especially early to mid game. Does not fare as well in terms of damage late game, but it works out because he can get so tanky late game that the overall, damage over time a comparison may as well be even in a duel. So we'll see how that works out. Of course, the position reversers are very, very useful, as we noticed earlier. We do have the Dazzle from MMKH, and then we have Strangle Thorns and Grasping Roots for some AoE crowd control from Zyra, and Necrogen on Brand also going to be doing some good AoE damage. But I would say Point Defense's team is much more heavily focused on the damage aspect compared to Hazel and Child Support's team. Of course, it really depends on builds. Earlier, we did see Malphite and Maokai's building Blackfire Torches, which gives them a lot of damage potential and not as much tankiness, but it's okay because they're doing so much damage. So we'll see how that works out. Again, same thing for the likes of Jarvan and even Tarek up to a point. Is he gonna go like maybe full, AP? That's not as viable in my opinion. But are we gonna see a little bit of balance between damage and tankiness, or is MMKH going to go straight for a little bit more utility tankiness kind of build? We'll have to wait and see. My bet is a little bit of AP mixed in. We saw that earlier in Point Defense's game in the semifinals. So we'll see how that works out. Of course, Buddha Rice is now going to be on Ezreal. I actually should have guessed that when I saw Swain. Buddha Rice, also known for his Vayne play, and then Swain being on Captain Booberry. Really good to see that being brought back by Booberry right there. I'm also excited to see how Infeed with Kha'Zix is going to fare. It's going to make a huge difference on whether Kha'Zix can jump in and maybe eliminate a Zyra or Brand immediately using Taste of Fear, making sure that they're isolated and getting that extra damage. But we'll see if that is going to happen. I mean, given the team comp on Point Defense, Zyra and Brand, both their positioning, they're usually going to be relatively close to each other. Also, they might have a Urgot with them from behind, especially when they're poking. So I'm not sure how many opportunities Kha'Zix will get for the most optimal assassination attempt, but at the same time, Kha'Zix can still do some good damage. And of course, as soon as you jump up, if the enemy team scatters, and that's usually people's instinct, right? An assassin jumps on you, you either scatter or you jump on them. One or the other. If they scatter, it's really advantageous for Kha'Zix. That's something players really need to keep in mind when playing against Kha'Zix as a champion. So we're going to be jumping right into game 2 here of the finals. It's a best of 3. Point Defense on the purple side leading at 1-0. PECS trying to make a comeback so that they can reclaim the throne of Dominate Dominion champions. Alright, so all players are loaded in. We should be going right into the game. Again, it's going to be PECS on the blue side, or at the top of the screen right now in terms of lineup, with point defense on the purple side. And there we go. Game 2 beginning right now of Dominate Dominion number 32's final. This tournament brought to you by, of course, Dominate Dominion and powered by Cybersports Network. For those of you, again, for those of you new people who are interested in joining the tournament, it's free to enter. You just need a team, and if you don't have a team, which, you know, for newcomers that may as well be a problem for all of you, you can just hop into the Dominate Dominion chat room in-game, capital D's, Dominate Dominion, and also check out the forum section on at dominatedominion.com. There's, I think it's called the recruiting section or such. You can find teams, or maybe, you know, try to be a sub for another team, things like that to get started. Always nice to see new faces around these parts. A lot of new faces have stayed over the past month and have gotten quite proficient at this game mode, so alright, so we're waiting for the last platform to finish. Budarice and Blueberry actually both positioning themselves to go bottom. Oh, are we going to see them go for the immediate pressure onto the Boneyard? We did see some pings going down. We'll just see what happens. Infeed and Painkiller also moving down bottom. I'm not quite sure. They haven't made up their mind. I think they were considering it. I think PECS was really considering going for the bottom lane pressure at level 3, but they've decided to go the traditional route, which is a little bit disappointing to me because I love seeing that come out and see how teams react to that strategy. So you do see MMKH actually going to scout out the brush first. That's going to leave Hypeos actually to get caught by the snare from Blueberry. Blueberry putting out a ton of damage, but gets caught by the Zyra of spells and the plants, just completely eliminating him from the fight. He's going to have to retreat quite a bit. Has to use his pot already to return, and that left Sauron alone. That is one of the earliest windmills I've ever seen captured. No deaths happened. Sauron single-handedly capturing the windmill. Meanwhile, MKH and Painkiller dueling it out with the assist of High Peoples. Xavier's now chasing through. Sauron picks up 1 kill. He's going to pick up a double. What a start for point defense. Just PECS completely shocked and taken aback by the aggression coming out from High Peoples in that turnaround. They all turned around to save Captain Blueberry, and that left Sauron alone to capture the windmill uncontested and also pick up a double kill. Meanwhile, Panzers is still getting chased down. He doesn't have Ragnarok yet, so he can't deny that CC, but they're going to give up the chase. And meanwhile, Budarice and Necrogen are dueling it out, and High Peoples and Sabers, not aware of that situation, they gave up on the chase, and Sabers is actually going to go ahead and get himself vision with the Damascene Standard. They still get the cleanup kill, but I wonder if they could have maybe prevented that death. I'm not so sure in terms of how quickly they could have reached that position. Blueberry, meanwhile, going up top, puts out some damage onto MKH, actually chasing him through a little bit. There's the Dazzle, though. MKH going to retreat. Panzer's now showing up from behind. Infeed also, it's a 4v2. They're going to go straight for the dive. Painkiller jumping right onto MKH. They will get that kill easily. Kazak's getting the extra damage with the isolation. Now Sauron also in a little bit of trouble. Double kill for Infeed. And that's going to be the windmill back in favor of PECS. So Zabers is setting up on his own right now, while High Peoples picks up the early Storm Shield 4-point defense, and we're going to see MKH and Sauron going for a gank down bot. They really don't want Budarice to pick up on this Ezreal. Are they going to get a successful gank, though? There is the Pillar of Flame hitting. Budarice now trying to escape. There's the vision from Sauron, and there's the Dazzle. The True Barrage actually still goes through, but Sauron's still going to pick up the kill onto Budarice. Necrogen, Sauron, and MKH all channeling onto the quarry here down at the bottom. Infeed shows up to try to defend. The tower's been neutralized. There's a huge minion wave. They can't really stop this. And there's a position reverse of Budarice trying to jump to the side. Blueberry coming in, but Budarice, can he make it out alive? Sauron really wants that kill. He just needs one more hit. He's going to pick it up, but Sauron is going to be sacrificed for that. The tower is in favor of point defense still, so they're going to be able to defend this for a little bit. Meanwhile, up top, we do see Zabers and High Peoples both really low, surviving that fight. And they are going to go ahead and neutralize the windmill. They need to watch out though. Painkiller can get an easy cleanup right here. High Peoples is going to have to retreat, so is Zabers, and the seed, the sapling, is not going to hit anyone just yet. The tower's been neutralized, and Zabers just going for the delay and going to die right there, letting High Peoples also escape himself, leaving Blueberry to go for the drill. And he's not going to get the neutralize quite yet. There's the dazzle, and MKH putting out some damage. Now going to retreat. Meanwhile, bottom, we see that Infeed is on a rampage, picking up the kill against Necrogen, clearing out that minion wave while Buddha Rice channels. Excellent play. And we do have a team fight going on. The Captain Blueberry completely caught unawares, going to go down to the burst from Sauron, MKH, and Zabers. And High People's now showing up for some extra pressure on the windmill. Panzer's now getting zoned out. Good dodge by Sauron on that undertow. There's a true shot barrage interrupting the channel once again. MKH going in with the dazzle onto Panzers. There's a Zyra Plants doing some extra damage. Blueberry catches MKH, but Zabers is now here. Blueberry still wants the kill. He's going to stick around. Infeed gets the kill with Taster of Fear, jumps in with the leap, and now zoning on High People is going to pick up that kill. Kill goes to Blueberry. There's the reset on Infeed's Kha'Zix, and that is why Kha'Zix is so powerful. Not only do you have great range, but it also resets if you evolve your wings, which he has done so with his first point that he can put into any evolution he wants. Meanwhile, bottom lane Necrogen just pushing out against Buddha Rice. They're pretty even right now. Not too much going on, but we may see Panzers going for a gank. He can't make up his mind. He's going to start maybe going towards the bottom. No, he's just dancing back and forth. They see that Necrogen is missing from the lane, so Panzer's not able to make up his mind just yet on where he's going to go. He's going to go ahead and go back up top where Blueberry is having to defend against Zabers and High People's. Painkiller shows up with the sapling though to help defend. Meanwhile, Infeed gets completely caught, but look at that. There's a huge leap across that wall from pretty far off from the wall too, so good escape. But Zabers jumps in, goes for the kill with Cataclysm. Good shutdown by Zabers, also locking in Painkiller. Now they have Blueberry isolated. That's going to be a double kill for Zabers. Meanwhile, Sauron using the position reverser to lock down Panzer and also to get the defensive stats. Painkiller now caught all alone. 4 people still alive, 4-point defense. They get the triple kill for Zabers, but there's the snipe by True Shot Barrage, and it's not going to matter too much. Actually, Infeed has returned with that revive. Can he distract them long enough? No. The tower's going to go in favor of point defense. And Infeed going to retreat, pick up that health relic. Meanwhile, Necrogen in a little bit of trouble by Buddha Rice here. Mystic Shot not going to hit. There's no health relic there for Necrogen, so he's just going to camp it out. Going to pick up that health relic now that it's spawned. And just going to play a little bit defensively here. 4-point defense. So we have Blueberry and Panzers pushing up against the windmill. Zabers is coming up though. High Peoples is also up at top. Panzers needs to watch out. There's the knock-up. And there's a lot of bursts coming out from High Peoples. Undertow hurting High Peoples quite a bit though. So High Peoples trying to keep his distance. Zabers also gets caught by Swain. Still going to pick up the kill. Actually, 2 kills going down. 4-point defense right now. High Peoples picks up the kill onto Olaf while Painkiller and Blueberry still chasing down. And Zabers goes in to save his teammate and also maybe get some extra damage done, distract the team long enough. High People's trying to do what he can, gets the Grasping Roots, and may get the kill onto Painkiller, gets the kill while Zabers is still alive. A double kill for High People's with the plant. Excellent play by High People's across the wall, utilizing the skill set as it should be. Meanwhile, bottom lane, point defense showing some good success. MMKH has that Storm Shield. Sauron showing up, and it's just Buddha Rice for the time being. Infeed is going to come down though, so Sauron and MMKH really need to watch out. Necrogen also showing up. It's a 3v2, and that's going to draw the attention of Panzers, which means the windmill is still safe from PECS. So point defense is pretty happy about this play right now. And we do see the True Shot Barrage hitting all 3 members. Not too much damage though. Buddha Rice doesn't have that many items just yet. Has the Brute, Phage, and Sheen. Really not going to hit some critical mass until sometime later. Meanwhile, High Peoples is doing a really good job. It has that Haunting guys on top of Cage's lucky pick. And we do see Zabers jumping through. Painkiller, no knockup, at least not animation-wise. From Spectator mode, Zabers has been exhausted. There's a Vengeful Maelstrom, but High Peoples is going to knock up Painkiller. Infeed jumps across the wall, though, going to get the pick off onto High Peoples. Panzers gets the kill, and there's another jump. Good escape by Zabers, not going to be enough, though, as the Laser Bird from Blueberry picks up the kill. Sauron just trying to do what he can to distract long enough, but has been exhausted. Infeed putting out so much damage. Sauron's isolated all throughout this run. Infeed putting out just incredible damage with Taste of Spear, and Sauron is going to eventually go down in the hands of Kha'Zix. Meanwhile, this quarry has been in favor of point defense, and Necrogen just camping out here. You know, they have that objective buff, so they have some extra damage going for them. High Peoples, unfortunately, does not have that buff on him. Was still down. So was Zabers. But we'll see. Can Necrogen? No, he's definitely not going to be able to defend this. It's just a matter of distracting long enough. Pyroclasm not even bouncing off between the enemy champions. So PECS is going to go ahead and get the quarry back in their favor, meaning they have 3 cap for the time being, but not for long. The windmill's in a lot of danger. Sabers jumps in from behind, helping High Peoples pick up the kill onto Booberry. And now Painkiller gets caught across the wall. Zabers missing his combo though. So not an extensive lockdown, and Panzer's now showing up. But they're not going to commit just yet. MKH actually gets caught behind, but that leaves Sauron and High Peoples free to channel onto this tower. As a matter of fact, High Peoples is going to still kite for MKH and Zabers, but Zabers is going to go down to Infi. No! MKH is going to body block him. Eventually, Zabers gets taken down. Painkiller jumps onto Sauron. There's the Vengeful Maelstrom, and Infi going to start chasing. And this is where Kha'Zix shines, putting out so much damage onto Sauron, using Taster of Fear and also Unseen Threat for that extra burst. High Peoples is trying to do what he can for the extra burst, but Blueberry comes in for the cutoff. Excellent kill by Blueberry, and PECS regaining control of the windmill. Meanwhile, down bot, it's Necrogen versus Buddha Rice. Pretty equal on health, but Buddha Rice definitely has the momentum here, pushing up with the minions against the Boneyard. MKH and Sauron are now going to group up and go towards the middle. The Storm Shield is available. MKH going to start channeling it, and we do see Blueberry trying to make a move. He has his own Storm Shield, but going to be stunned by Sauron. But mission accomplished from PECS' side. They prevented the Storm Shield from being taken. MKH trying for it again. Is he going to finish? No! Painkiller with the clutch interrupt right at the end. MKH really wants a Storm Shield, but PECS is just not going to let point defense have their way with it. And now with the Hextech Sweeper, MKH going to go for it again. Zaber is now in a better position to stop any form of aggression. Now that the Storm Shield is on Tarek, are we going to see a move come out from point defense? They do still have the lead. MKH way ahead of his team. Meanwhile, Zabers gets caught a little bit by Blueberry. Panzer's in a little bit of trouble. Gets the dazzle, gets the shatter from MKH, but MKH now caught. Dodges the snare. Brilliant micro. And Zabers comes in from behind. Brilliant Stranglethorns, knocking out 2 of the enemy members. Zabers dueling out Panzers and Blueberry at once. Sauron being completely zoned out by Infi. There's so many low members on PECS, but there's no finishing power coming from point defense. High Peoples was completely on the other side of the fight during that entire engagement, not able to do anything for his team. A little bit unfortunate. Infi's thinking about chasing, but definitely not the best of ideas. Meanwhile, Necrogen and Buddha Rice both very low. Ooh, Buddha Rice just barely dodging that skill shot. Both of them are still sticking around. Necrogen really wants this kill. If he gets this kill, he can try to push through, but he's not going to get it just yet. He does get another skill shot down onto Buddha Rice, putting out some good damage. He already has his Wuga switch cap. Meanwhile, up top, MKH pushing down, but not too big of a threat right there. Interestingly enough, we were talking about the Blackfire Torch, and we only have one just finished on Zyra, so a little bit lacking in the concentration of Blackfire Torches compared to other games, but Zyra, of course, definitely going to be doing a lot of work with that item pickup.
You belong in a museum.
So now we do see point defense trying to pressure the windmill once again. They really want this 3 cap back, and they're focusing on the windmill for it. We'll see if they can succeed though, as Blueberry is coming in from the side. He lands the snare. No, he's only going to land it on Zabers, but completely disrupts the enemy. Good Stranglethorns though, knocking out Blueberry and Panzers. Is it going to be enough? Cataclysm goes down. I would say pretty good positioning. Painkiller is going to go down. Infeed has been exhausted. Eventually going to take down Zabers though, but not without another knockup coming down. Blueberry goes down. Sauron now going to go for the cleanup. MMKH gets the double kill onto Infeed, and that's going to be the windmill. 4-point defense, brilliant play. They were going for that one last charge. Here comes the True Shot Barrage. It's going to interrupt both Sauron and High Peoples, but MKH picks it up right at the last second to get the cap. 4-point defense. Meanwhile, Zabers just used his revive to make sure that they can secure it and defend the windmill, making sure no one comes in for a sneaky recap from PECS, and that's definitely not going to happen. Painkiller picks up the Storm Shield. He's going to go ahead and go back to base to buy some new items, I would assume. Infy going to hit that movement speed shrine. Is he going to go for a gank bottom? We'll see. He's just scouting out the area alongside Panzers. Both teams playing it very carefully right now. It's a pretty fine line, 220 to 242. Point defense on the defensive stand though, and they're going to go ahead and catch Blueberry first. They're trying to put everything they can on him, and it's working. He's being bursted down. Tries to put down the snare to escape, but it's not going to happen. MKH, meanwhile, goes a little bit too aggressive to zone out the enemy team and gets bursted down himself. So 1-for-1 trade, a little bit unfortunate for point defense in that situation. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Necrogen being pressured once again. But still, the tower is pretty safe. At the windmill, though, Blueberry zoning out Zabers and Sauron. Zabers actually jumps right back in and then jumps in with the Cataclysm, but Sauron's in a lot of trouble. Infy's going to pick up that kill. Zabers now surrounded by 3 members. Meanwhile, High Peoples is getting chased by Panzers. There's a good undertow. Zabers not able to make the escape. Double kill for Kha'Zix with that leap, picking up the kill on High Peoples. Brilliant play from PECS. They're going to regain control of the windmill. Meanwhile, MKH this time around peacefully being able to take the Storm Shield. Heading down bot, but Budarites is going to go port back to base, so they're not going to see any opposition here. Are we going to see a shift in focus? Is point defense going to start pressuring the quarry? I'm not so sure. Both teams focusing down here in the bottom portion of the map. The Panzers hits the move speed shrine, and he's now just trying to decide where to go. Everyone on point defense a little bit spread out, but the general consensus seems to be towards the windmill once again. I mean, they did have some success. They want to try it again. Definitely not a bad idea. Meanwhile, MKH has still been waiting. Budarice now coming back to lane, only to be met by an angry Tarek. There is the Dazzle, a long-term stun because of how far he was with that arcane shift. Necrogen now just kiting. MKH, no, Brand is actually going to pick up the kill with his dot. And are we going to see them push through? Infeed is there to stop the push, but he might be in trouble himself. MKH really wants this kill. Infeed is just going to try to harass over the wall and then retreat towards his tower. Meanwhile, up top, Sauron, Zabers, and High Peoples pressuring against the 3 members of PECS. Painkiller and Panzers at the tower. Captain Blueberry over at the side. It's still a bit of a poke war right now. Meanwhile, down bottom, MKH has started channeling onto the quarry, but is going to be thwarted right now by Infeed and Blueberry, or excuse me, by Budarice. Meanwhile, Painkiller is taking quite a bit of poke, but so has Sauron, so it's still anyone's game up here at the windmill. And Infeed's actually going to start making his way up top. If he gets here in time, that's going to be a quick cleanup for PECS. Sauron really needs to watch out. Infeed's going to get a quick, easy kill. There's a reset on the leaf. He jumps in only to be popped up by the Strangle Thorns, and then the combo from Zabers, but that's not going to save High Peoples anytime soon. Zabers also needs to make a run for it. He's trying to get a trade with Painkiller. Not going to happen. Infeed picks up 1 kill and 2 kills. That's a triple kill for Infeed. A little bit delayed, so only going to announce the double kill. There's a True Shot Barrage onto MKH to deny the quarry, but Necrogen able to channel a little bit longer. A good dazzle coming in for MKH, but Budarice had other plans, putting out so much damage onto Necrogen. Necrogen gets bursted down. Painkiller now coming in to help Budarice. MKH also going to go down. Eventually, yes, there we go. Eventually gets taken down by the Blackfire Torch Dot, which is now on Maokai and also on Swain. Meanwhile, Sauron, the tower has been neutralized, so Sauron's just trying to delay as long as possible. His ultimate does get interrupted by Painkiller, but no worries. All he wants to do is make sure this tower stays neutral while the rest of his team sets up. Eventually, they're going to finish him off, and the quarry will go back to PECS. MKH now single-handedly pushing up the wave towards the windmill, being joined by Zabers. Captain Blueberry is up at the windmill preparing to defend, while Infeed and Panzers are making their way up top. MKH goes for the dazzle, but is stopped by Blueberry. But Blueberry does get caught once again. Infeed shows up over the wall though, and this is why Kha'Zix is so good out of nowhere with the leap. There's the reset. Xavers has been slowed, trying to catch up with his ultimate. Painkiller comes in for the cutoff. Good combo from Xavers, but he's still not going to make it out alive. Sauron doing what he can to try to kite, but Xavers is going to go down. Sauron also in a little bit of danger. Is he going to even attempt to defend the drill? I'm not so sure, but that left High Peoples and Necrogen down bot, able to clean up. Can they get the capture? I think they're only barely going to get the neutralized, and even then both are going to lose their life for it, so it might not be worth it. Infeed knows exactly which target he wants first. No, he's just going to go for the cutoff. He almost gets Necrogen. He's going to go for the kill into High Peoples first. Can he chase Necrogen? I'm not so sure, but Blueberry comes in for the cutoff, and there's the quick kill. PECS looking absolutely dominant in game 2 of the finals tonight. Meanwhile, Sauron being chased down by Blueberry. Not much of an option here. Going to get finished off, I would imagine. MMKH also getting taken down by Buddha Rice. Another quick 2 kills for PECS, and they are definitely in the lead of this game 2 for the finals of Dominate Dominion number 32.
Blue team has captured the quarry.
So Necrogen just scouting out the bottom lane. Now going to start pushing back towards the quarry. Meanwhile, Xavers just having a push war against Painkiller on Maokai. We do see High Peoples now moving their way down bot, and I'm not so sure exactly if Point Defense has a solid plan on what they want to do next. It seems they're pretty torn on if they want to focus on bottom or top. There's the Grasping Roots and Stranglethorns. So much damage onto Infeed. Infeed using his lead to just barely get out of range from the Stranglethorns, but Panzer's still taking a ton of damage. Sauron chasing through. He's gonna get the kill. Buddha Rice now trying to come in for the cutoff alongside Captain Blueberry. Blueberry doing a lot of work. Infeed comes in for 1 kill. Blueberry picks up the other. Sauron meanwhile dueling Buddha Rice to no avail. 3 kills for PECS. Brilliant play coming out from PECS. They're surely going to win this game if they keep this up. Infeed now dueling as Xavers. Xavers just doing what he can. Necrogen comes in, but he's been exhausted. He's waiting for his exhaust to wear out, and then he just now has to try to make a run for it. Stuns Panzers, but it's not going to be enough. There's the dazzle onto Buddha Rice, and now just 1 by 1 Point Defense are walking into their own deaths. There's the leap. Infeed going to pick up that kill. Absolute miscommunication coming out from Point Defense, jumping in 1 by 1 like that, sacrificing themselves as if they were on an assembly line for death. And Buddha Rice now forced to retreat, but I don't think Sauron's going to be able to catch up. No, sir. He's just going to have to clear out the minion wave here at the Boneyard. So Painkiller has pretty much been up here at the windmill, pushing it out and then joining his team for team fights, playing it pretty safe. MMKH showing up, does get Twisted Rooted, and Captain Blueberry shows up for some extra damage. There's a heal though from MMKH himself, the imbue, keeping him alive at full health. Meanwhile, Sauron looking for a possible back gap or a cutoff, but gets caught by Panzers. Meanwhile, up top, are we going to see the fight begin? There's the Stranglethorns, there's the knockup, and another knockup by Xavers, but Blueberry is still sustaining really well. Sauron needs to start putting out the damage alongside High Peoples. They do finally get the shutdown. Painkiller, is he going to go down? I'm not so sure. No, he's going to live. Xavers goes in for the kill, but he's going to get taken out before Painkiller goes down. Eventually, the shutdown coming up from Sauron, but Infeed doing so much work. Now it's a kiting war. Sauron and High Peoples need to do what they can to kite, and then try to take the windmill if they want to stay relevant in this game. 163 to 17, clock is ticking down. They start the poke war onto Infeed. MMKH going to start chasing them away. MMKH starts the channel. They really need to get this neutralized as soon as possible. No, the clock's actually been stopped. Necrogen gets the neutralized onto the core, and he's going to get the cap, giving them a damage buff up at the windmill, which means that's the windmill 4-point defense. Sauron actually going to live with imbue coming through at the last second there. Brilliant save by MMKH. And that's the 3 cap back in favor of Point Defense. Actually a momentary 4 cap while PECS tries to recap the quarry for themselves. Blueberry sees this, knows that they just want to close out the game, going straight for the Boneyard. Xavers is not going to have any of that though. Stops him right in his tracks and just going to start dueling him 1v1. It actually goes for the Cataclysm, waiting for High Peoples to join up. There's a Grasping Roof. It hits. They're going to get the kill onto Blueberry, which is going to affect PECS' team fighting a lot. Blueberry has been a strong force for them all game. We'll see if they can make a play here at the windmill without Blueberry. His revive is down for just a few more seconds, so he might as well just wait out his death timer. Necrogen trying to put out some damage over the wall onto Buddha Rice is successful. So we're seeing a 1-1 down at bottom once again, but we are going to see Infeed and Panthers come down. If they get a successful gank onto Necrogen, that may as well be game for Point Defense. Point Defense really needs to make up their mind where they're going to go. They run into Painkiller, they're going to back off. MKH going for that Storm Shield. Meanwhile, Sauron goes straight for the Boneyard because he sees Panthers there. Necrogen trying to use his stasis, but it's not going to save him. And unfortunately, Buddha Rice is going to time his skills right to help pick up that kill for Infeed. MKH gets caught on his way back from the Storm Shield. The Boneyard is still safe. Xavier's actually going for the cutoff, but he's all alone. He's all alone against 4 people. He's not going to be able to get the kill. Buddha Rice arcane shifts towards the bottom of the screen, and Sauron now trying to defend alongside MKH, but it's a 4v2. I'm not sure they can do anything, even with Buddha Rice so low. Sauron's going to get taken down. MKH with the reset leap on Infeed. Xavier's going to go ahead and get the cleanup onto Buddha Rice, and Blueberry now in a little bit of trouble. He has low mana. They chased a little bit too much. The clock still stopped at 2-2. If they can cap this Boneyard, if they can keep the windmill, they're going to keep chipping down Point Defense, really taking advantage of the greediness coming out from PECS in that last fight. Boneyard is going to go in their favor. Zyra is going to hold off on the windmill, 64-14 and counting down against PECS. Can Point Defense pull through? We have Panthers and Painkiller up at the top, but Xavier's coming up, so is Blueberry. Xavier's in a lot of trouble right now. High Peoples needs to do what he can. There's the Stranglethorn to delay as long as possible. Tower helping out Xavier's a ton. High Peoples just doing what he can from long range attacks, and now Sauron comes in. He might be able to get the cleanup here. Gets 1 kill onto Painkiller. High Peoples gets a second, and Blueberry now being chased down by Sauron, going to be finished off with a double kill for Point Defense. They might be able to close this game out. Infeed now coming down bottom to chase down Necrogen, and Ezreal is pushing up though. It's a 2v1. High Peoples needs to make his way down. Xavier's also coming down as soon as possible. Sauron coming down all the way from the windmill. Good attack from Necrogen and an excellent stasis, saving himself just long enough to finish off Infeed. PECS is getting impatient. Point Defense is holding on to this 3-cap religiously, and PECS has no way around it. They're getting really rushed about their kills, about their tower dives. They're not thinking it through, and they're just getting taken out one by one all across the map. So MKH and High Peoples now defending the windmill. Point Defense knows they just need to hold out for a couple more seconds here. 28-14 and counting. They're kiting away the entire enemy team. PECS is not in position at a tower just yet. They need to hurry up. Blueberry rather really wants that Storm Shield for this last fight, but they need to make something happen fast. 20 points left on the PECS Nexus. Can they make a fight? They're actually just going to go for the team fight right away. I don't know if this is the best idea for PECS, especially given the damage coming out from Point Defense. Panzer has been exhausted. Everyone running away. Sauron keeping Infeed locked down. MKH coming through for the dazzle. He's going to get it, but there's the leap. Meanwhile, Painkiller catches Xavier's, but Xavier's is full health. Panzer's finally realizing they really need to go for the tower, going up top, but High Peoples puts down the plant. It's going to delay just long enough, in my opinion. Captain Blueberry going straight for High Peoples. High Peoples just kiting, puts down the garrison, and Point Defense is going to close this game out at 14-0. What a comeback, and PECS is going to give up the final series 2-0 in this week's Dominate